You know that feeling, right? You're staring at a giant spreadsheet and it feels like you're searching for a needle in a haystack. That one critical piece of info is in there somewhere, but finding it feels totally impossible. Well, today we're going to tame that data haystack. Yeah? Does this look a little too familiar? You're just drowning in rows and columns, endlessly scrolling for a single product ID or maybe a sales figure. It's not just a search, it's a frustrating, time-wasting mission that can drive you crazy. And let's be real, searching for things by hand is just a recipe for disaster. It's incredibly slow, it's super error-prone, and you run the risk of copying the wrong value or just missing the data altogether. This right here is the classic data haystack problem, and honestly, it's a total productivity killer. Okay, but what if you had a secret weapon? A kind of super-powered search tool built right into your spreadsheet. A tool that could scan thousands of records in the blink of an eye and pull out the exact piece of information you need. Well, that is precisely what lookup functions are for. So here's our game plan. We're going to walk through the essential tools to solve this. We'll start with the real workhorse of spreadsheets, VLOOKUP. Then we'll meet its horizontal sibling, HLOOKUP. After that, we'll explore a more flexible tool called Match. And finally, we'll learn how to decode those pesky error messages that pop up. All right, first up is the heavyweight champion of lookup functions, VLOOKUP. The V here stands for vertical, and this is going to be your go-to tool whenever your data is organized in columns, which, let's be honest, is most of the time. So what does it actually do? Well, think of it like a really efficient librarian. You go to the librarian and give them a book title. That's your search value. The librarian then scans the first column of their catalog, looking for that exact title. Once they find it, they look across the row to grab the info you asked for, like the author or the shelf number, and bring it right back to you. A VLOOKUP formula is really just built on 4 simple questions. First, what are you looking for? Second, where are you looking for it? Third, which column has the answer you want? And finally, the fourth and most important question, do you need an exact match? And that last part is so crucial. 99% of the time, you're going to use false here to make sure you get a perfect match. Let's see this thing in action. So the formula is told to look for the code VFICX inside that investment list table. As soon as it finds a match in the first column, it jumps over to the second column to grab the description. The false at the end makes sure it only accepts a 100% exact match. And boom, just like that, intermediate investment grade appears in the cell. So VLOOKUP is absolutely perfect for data that's set up in columns. But what happens when your data is laid out the other way, horizontally, in rows? Well, for that, we turn to its sibling, HLOOKUP. The core idea is exactly the same. It's just the direction of the search that changes. Okay, so let's dive into HLOOKUP. You guessed it, the H stands for horizontal. And while it's definitely less common than VLOOKUP, it is an absolute lifesaver when your tables are organized with headers in rows instead of columns. The logic here is pretty much identical to VLOOKUP. But instead of searching down the first column, HLOOKUP searches across the top row for your value. Once it finds a match, it drops down to a row that you tell it to and grabs that corresponding piece of information. Look familiar? It should. The syntax is almost identical. You still have the what and the where. The only real difference is part 3. Instead of a column index number, you now have a row index number. You're just telling it how many rows to go down instead of how many columns to go across. Easy, right? Let's take a look at this example right here. The formula is on the hunt for the word benchmark across the top row of the benchmarks table. The moment it finds it, it goes down to the 4th row in that table and pulls out the value, 6.0%. Simple, effective, and really powerful. Now, VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP are fantastic for finding a value that's related to something else. But what if you don't need the value itself? What if you just need to know where something is located? For that, we've got another amazing tool, the match function. The key difference here is what it gives you back. VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP go out and fetch a value. Match, on the other hand, tells you the position of that value. It just answers the simple question, hey, in this list of items, is my thing 1st, 5th, or 10th? And believe it or not, the syntax is even simpler. You just tell it what to look for, where to look for it, and notice this is just a single row or column, not a whole table. And finally, the match type. And just like with our other functions, you'll pretty much always use 0 to tell it you want an exact match. Of course, just like with any new skill, things can sometimes go wrong. formulas break, but you know what? It's totally fine. Let's not panic when they do. Instead, let's learn to decode the error messages so we can fix them in seconds. Ever had that moment? You write a formula, you hit enter feeling all confident, and boom, you're greeted with one of these ugly error codes. It's a really common experience, but these aren't random. They're actually specific clues telling you exactly what's wrong. These errors are actually your friends. They're simple clues. See an hashtag NA? That just means not available. The formula is working, but it can't find the thing you're looking for. So check for typos. See a hashtag REF? That's a reference error. It means you're asking for a column or row that doesn't exist, like asking for the 6th column in a table that only has 5. And just like that, you've moved way beyond searching by hand. You now have the keys to unlock any piece of data, connect different tables, and automate what used to be a really tedious task. You're no longer just storing data. You're making it answer your questions. You know, this really gets to the heart of why this matters. It reminds me of this quote from Carly Fiorina. Functions like these are that first crucial step in turning all that raw, messy data into organized information. And it's that information that leads to smart decisions and real insight. So I'll leave you with this final thought. You are now equipped to instantly find any needle in any data haystack. The only question left is, what problems are you going to solve first?